Hi, welcome to Learn Premiere Pro. Before I get started, I'd just like to let you know that I've created a folder called Premiere Pro Tutorial DU, that's me. And in that, I've put some content, which is basically some QuickTime movies and an audio track as well. Now, you should already have that, but if not, I can send it to you or get a link to OneDrive. Anyway, you've got to create a folder here that you can save all your work to. So, first of all, you launch Premiere Pro. Now, I'm using version, version 1.4.0. It should be the version you're using as well. So what we're going to, this is the window, the startup window that you normally get to. So what we'll do is we'll click on the new project, which is here. Open project is for previous work you've done. And this normally has certain files that you may have previously opened. So if I select new project, this window will come up. Okay. So in this window here, first of all, we're going to select the location, which is down here. You've got a little link here. But if I click on Browse, it should take us to the desktop here. There we go. Now I'm going to go to the desktop and I'm going to select the Premiere Pro Tutorial folder that I created. So I'll go Choose. Okay, and then I'm going to name the file, and I'm going to call it Premiere Pro Tutorial. Okay. So, and then we're going to click OK. And what should turn up is the Premiere Pro basic interface, which you've got all the different panels on it. And if you notice, when you select a different panel, you get a little blue line around the panel. Now, some people you can like to change and muck about with the panel to make it easier for them to organize the content. One thing you should really be aware of is if we go to the top here and go to Window, Workspaces, we've got different kind of setups for different kind of working that you'll be doing in Premiere Pro. So for example, you have kind of color editing. You could have, if you're doing effects, you might have a different setup. The panels set themselves up slightly differently. The machine is being a little bit slow. It's going to come there, the beach ball of death. It's just turning. So just while I'm waiting for that to load, you've got your timeline down here. You've got your basic sequence there. You've got your monitor there. But just to get back to the workspace we want to just choose editing, okay? Editing for the setup we're doing. It's just basic editing. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to import the movies that we're going to deal with. Now there's a variety of ways you can do this. You can go to File, Import. You can drag and drop from the desktop. What I tend to do is just double click in the project window. So just double click there, and we'll get options on where to get your media from. So again, I'm going to the Premiere Pro Tutorial. I'm going to select all the movies and I'm going to import them in. So it's importing here, it's importing the files. Okay, so there we go. So there's all your files there. They're just basic, quite small QuickTimes that I've we're using for this workshop. So, and quite a nice little feature of Premiere Pro, which was actually in iMovie as well, is if you just roll your little movie icons, you get a little preview of what is actually going down there. And you got a few details like your time. So I'm going to choose the Horse 2 movie, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click it. And when you double click, it appears in the source monitor here, okay? So I can just grab the little blue playhead there and what's called scrub backwards and forwards, okay? And before I get into dealing with that, I'd just like you to have a look at the metadata tag up here. Now the metadata tag tells you all the kind of information you need to know, but the one thing I'd like you to just look at is the frame rate, which is 29.97 frames per second. You'll find that as you deal with Premiere more and more, issues of frame rate will come to head more often. So I'm going to go along the tabs and I'm going to go back to the source file. Now I could just drag and drop that onto the timeline, but I want to get an in and out point. If you'd chosen a bit of a movie that you wanted to maybe edit stuff at the beginning or at the end, you can do this here. So I shall just go slightly ahead when the horses are just coming into the water. That way you can do, you can actually type I and O, but I'm going to click the in point there. Okay, if you notice, you've got a slight graying going on there. So then I'm going to look for the out point. Right, I'm not going to go right to the end, so I'm just going to get maybe about there. I'm going to select the out point. And if you notice, this graying area here is what you've chosen. So again, I'm just going to drag straight from the middle and drag and drop it. See if it becomes like a little grasping hand there, and then let it go, unclick, and here it is in the timeline. Okay. Good. So I'm just going to adjust some of the elements so we get a slightly bigger vision here. Okay. So we've taken a file from our project area, sometimes referred to as the bin, and we put it into your source area, source monitor, and we've taken the source monitor into the timeline, which is here, and we've got your video layer there, you've got your audio layer there. Now we can just play that, and you do that by pressing the space bar, and there we go. Okay. Good. Now again, we can have a little look at the sequence settings just for future use. So I go up to sequence settings, and you'll find, for example, the frame rate is still the same. You've got a whole lot of different information. You've got audio, video preview size, etc. But just go OK. Just make you aware of that for the future. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get another clip. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the project area. I'm going to get another clip. Let's just choose this one. So double click it, and again we have the sequence setting here, which is in slow motion. So again, I'm going to select an in point. I'm going to select an out point, and this time I'm not going to drag from the center of the source monitor onto the timeline. I'm just going to, down here, I'm just going to drag the video only. If you notice the two little buttons here, you've got drag audio only and drag video only. So this time I'm going to drag video only. Okay, onto the timeline, and there it is there. Okay, so that just doesn't drag the audio. Like the last time we dragged the audio with the file, so this time we just drag in the movie. Now, because I'm going to use audio at a later point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first movie we did, and what I'm going to do is it's linked together, so I'm going to unlink it and delete the audio that's related to it. Now I could actually just turn off the audio here if I wanted, but I'm actually going to delete it. So I'm going to right click on that file, I'm going to select unlink, and that means they're now separate. It now means I can select just the audio, and then using the delete button on the keyboard, just press delete. So we're just dealing with the movie here. So if I play this, you'll see that we've got going from one clip to the next. Okay. Okay, now this is where I can get into changing within the timeline, making some cuts and edits. So what I'm going to do is I can just roll over the edges and it becomes like a dragging point. You can drag the movies out in a distance, so we can make little cuts. We can also use the razor tool. So down here you'll find that there's a variety of small icons. So if I select the razor tool, I can make cuts. And then go back to the select tool. Always remember to go back to the select tool for just dealing with general movement within Premiere Pro. It just means I can select certain points, delete them, and then move things a little bit closer. So it now means I can play that, and we've got a slight edit cuts. Not very perceptible, but let me just bring in a few more movie clips just to make more emphasis on that. So if I say choose, say the large horse 3, double click it. I'm not going to bother putting an in and out point. I'm just going to drag the movie straight into there. Now it's gone off the screen a bit. Now I want to maybe adjust the size that I'm viewing. So down here you can adjust the length. And I'm going to go to the razor tool. I'm just going to make some random little cuts. And then I'm going to just cut out certain little points. And then I'm going to drag them together. And then I'm going to play what that looks like. You can see some little minimal cuts, but you get the idea, I think. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at some effects. So if we go to the effects panel in the project area, and there's a variety of transitions that we can choose here. I meant transitions, not effects. So I'm just going to, if you go into the little search bar and just type in cross, and what we're looking for is cross dissolve here, but once you type in cross it comes up here. So now just choosing this area here, I'm going to show you how we can get a little transition happening. So just left click and hold the cross dissolve icon and then just drop it into that point, and you see it's created a little cross dissolve area. So what you'll find now is you get a cross dissolve that's quite nice. So we've got a little cross dissolve going there. Now let me just drag them into the other points there. So we should have a little bit of cross. We can actually put it in the beginning as well if we want. Get a little cross dissolve from fading up from black. So we get a few little kind of cross dissolve ideas. Right. Okay. Again, if you want to get rid of any cross dissolve you've done, just select the point and press delete, and it'll get rid of any transitions that you don't want. Okay, so we looked at transitions. Now I'm just going to do a quick one about adding a title to your sequence, and how you do that. Actually, just before we do that, I'm just going to save. It's worth to save as you go. So I'm just going to save, and it will save as what I called it previously. So this time we're going for a title. So if we go to New, Legacy Title. Okay, this is different from previous versions of Premiere Pro. But if we select Legacy Title, and I'm just going to leave it as Title 1, and just go OK. And what will come up is this area here. Now this is pretty straightforward, but again, I'm just going to move the timeline so it goes over a black area, so that I can actually see what I'm typing. So just click once in the center, and I'm going to click, let's put stallions. Stallions. Go to the selection tool. Now that's not the greatest of bits of text, but again we can change the there we go, it's slightly dragged together. So we can do a variety of things. We can change the font in a variety of ways. That'll do fine for what I'm looking for. Now I'm just going to make sure it's centrally located. So if you right click, now you've got to set up a right click on your mouse, or control click if you don't have one. So right click and then go to position, horizon center, right click, position, not horizon center but vertical center. Okay, and so that's centralized there. And so if we're happy with that, we actually just close it down. You don't need to save anything. We close it down, and you'll find, if we go back into your project area, you'll find it's created a little title sequence called Stallions. Okay, let me just move this up a little bit. Right, I'm just gonna make this a bit smaller as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the video I've created and just move it along the timeline a little bit. And then I'm going to bring in the title. So just drag, oh, a bit too big still. So let me just move this along a bit. Yes, I'm just going to drag and drop the title there. So you get Stallions there. And it's a bit long. I mean, if you were to play that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually not bad lengthwise. So again, if we just drag your video along a bit, now it kind of magnetizes when it reaches the point there. So again, if we play that, that's your title. Now what I'm going to do is, because I'd quite like a nice little fade on that, I'm going to go back to Effects, use the cross dissolve, put it at the beginning, use this cross dissolve and put it at the end. So if you play that, you get a cross dissolve from nothing. Now I'm going to make that fade a little bit longer. So again, I'm going to go down to the little effect, cross dissolve, and just drag that out a little bit. So it's slightly longer. There we go. Okay. Great. The next thing I'd like to have a look at before we carry on, let's just save that. So just save that. Okay. Next thing I'd like to look at is some effects. Okay, so again, you go back into your effects area, and this time what I'd like you to type in is fast, and what should come up is fast color corrector. I'd like you to select the fast color corrector and drag it over to one of your videos there. So we drag the fast color corrector onto there. Now if we go up to the sequence area, effects control, you'll find, because the fast color corrector has become available now, this is where you can change the color, the contrast, the brightness. So for example, if I bring up the color wheel, I can drag from the center, I can drag, if you notice the image is changing, make it more grey or green, so go for green there, and also drag down slightly further, and we've got input levels which will give you a slightly brighter, darker, lots of things to play with. Make it darker, brighter. There you go. Okay, so that's your effects there, so you can change your effects, because sometimes you shoot under yellow light and you want to make it slightly bluer, etc. Okay, we're almost at the end now, so I'm going to go back to your Premiere project bin, and the audio that I put in there, I double click it and we can just play it to preview it, which will suit me. Now I'm going to drag and drop the audio this time onto the area at the start. And again, because if you notice the audio track is huge, I'm just going to actually trim that using the razor blade. So get the razor blade, just trim that there, delete that part. Okay, so if we were to play, so that's fine. Okay. Now I'm just actually going to deselect the safe margins, because this gives you an idea when you're playing certain computers the margin size. But I'm just going to get rid of that. Again, if you want to put it on, put your safe margins there. But right click, and you'll get safe margins there. So that's fine. So now we're going to get to the export stage. So again, I'm just going to save it. And then this time I'm going to export. So go to File, Export, Media, okay? And then we get this panel comes up. Eventually, there we go. Now, if you notice, you can select sequence in and out, work area, entire sequence. Let me just close this down a second. Let me just cancel that. If you notice here, we have a little yellow area, which is your work area. But you can actually choose in and out points if you want. I accidentally touched that, so I'm going to get rid of that. Clip markers, there it is. Clear in and out. There we go. Sometimes you accidentally put an in and out you don't want. Anyway, it's just the work area. We're going to choose the yellow part here. So again, File, Export, Media. We're choosing work area. Okay, you can preview that if you want. And then this is where it becomes fun for you geeks. So format, for the time being, but I just go for H.264. Now your preset you can choose for YouTube, for mobile, for Twitter, but I'm just going to match source high bitrate, okay? And then actually saving it somewhere. So you click on the output name, it should actually theoretically show us where we're going. So I'm going to go for Premiere Pro Tutorial. I'm just going to call it Stallions, okay, and then just go save. So we're not called Stallions, we're saving in a certain place, we're exporting audio, exporting video. I tend to, let's see if we can find it. Yeah, sometimes if it's, I just export video, if it's just video, put the audio on later. But that's basically us, and we've got an idea of the size of the file, which will be 23 megabytes. So we're all ready to go. So we click on export now. So it's giving us, it's exporting pretty quickly. Here we go, getting towards the end. There we go. So that's us exported our movie that we can put onto the web or whatever. So let me just minimize that. Come to our folder, double click it. We've got your project folder there. We've got your finally outputted Stallions. So I'm just going to view that in QuickTime just to see what we've got. Okay, let's just play what we've created. Okay, so that concludes the Premiere Pro tutorial. I hope this was useful. Thank you. Goodbye.